Good evening, everyone, and especially to you, ma'am. I am the first reporter for this night. Water resources and water pollution. Ang tubig ay isang malagang likas na yaman. Ang lahat ng nabubuhay na bagay ay nangangailangan ng tubig for the survival. Hindi natin maisip ang buhay na walang tubig. Hayop man o halaman ay kailangan nila ng tubig upang makumpleto ang kanilang pang-araw-araw na metabolic aktibidad. Ang mga halaman ay nangangailangan ng tubig upang masynthesize ang kanilang pagkain mula sa proseso ng photosynthesis. Sa karaniwan, ang isang individual ay gumamit ng 600 hanggang 700 litro sa isang araw. We all can live without food for days together, but cannot even imagine surviving without water. Maging ang mga halaman ay natutuyo at nalalaglag ang kanilang mga dahon ng walang tubig. Water is one of the natural resources which are found in an adequate amount. It is an essential source for the existence of life on the planet Earth. So, what is water resources? Water resources are sources of water that are useful or potentially useful to humans. Water is one of the most vital resources for all living organisms. Ang ating daigdig o mundo ay unique dahil it has so much water. It is in the ground, on the surface, in the air, and in our bodies. Humigit kumulang 71% of Earth's surface is water. If you took all the water on Earth and put it into a ball, it would be about 860 miles wide. Uses of water include agricultural, industrial, household, recreational, and environmental activities. Halos ng lahat ng mga ito ay gumamit ng fresh water. About 97% of water on the earth is salt water, leaving only 3% as fresh water, of which slightly over 2/3 is frozen in glaciers and polar ice caps. Ang natitirang unfrozen of fresh water ay pangunahing matatagpuan as groundwater na may maliit na bahagi lamang na nasa lupa or ground o sa hangin or air. Although water is a renewable resource, scarcity of quality water is still a big issue in many parts of the world. We need water for various purposes, such as to grow food, keep clean, generate electricity, control fire, and most importantly, to stay alive. Oceans, 97.2%. Sa sinasabi ko kanina na 97% of water on the earth is salt water. There are 5 oceans that surround continents: the Atlantic Ocean, Arctic Ocean, Indian Ocean, Southern Ocean, and Pacific Ocean. The average depth of ocean is 2.7 kilometers. So the water volume is about 1,338,000,000 cubic kilometer. Oceans are foundation of water cycles. Water moves continuously in nature in 3 stages: evaporation, condensation, and surface runoff. Ocean's currents are like giant conveyor belts moving huge amount of water all the time. Glaciers, 2.1%. About 2.1% of Earth's water in glaciers. Glaciers are the second largest reservoir of water, with most of them in Greenland and Antarctica. Currently, glaciers store about 24,060,000 cubic kilometers of water. Glaciers fluctuate in water availability the most with ice ages and global warming. As temperatures surge, sea levels rise with it. This is because melting ice sheets and glaciers add to total water volume. Scientists estimate the sea level will rise 32 to 68 inches by 2100. This rise in sea levels could swallow parts of coastal cities like Shanghai, Olympia, and New York. Groundwater 0.65%. As a hidden source of water, we find groundwater everywhere. About 0.65 of the water on Earth is in groundwater stored in aquifer. These are two types of groundwater: saline and fresh water from groundwater. Fresh groundwater makes up about 45% of water in the ground, whereas saline groundwater is about 55%. Groundwater has more than 100 times amount of fresh water than lakes and streams combined. In addition, groundwater is hard to get out of the ground, show to recharge, and easily contaminated. That's why groundwater is a delicate resource that we use as a rainy day fund and draw in times of need. Freshwater and saline lakes 0.017%. And only 9% of water is stored in lakes. For example, the Great Lakes are sources of fresh water, which consists of about 21% of freshwater lakes on Earth. Lake Baikal in Russia stores approximately the equivalent of all 5 Great Lakes. Even though rainwater washes minerals and salts into rivers and lakes, they are mostly freshwater. This is because their minerals get washed away and transported to an outlet of the nearest ocean. So unlike salty oceans, lakes and rivers constantly have the minerals washed away. Saline lakes are landlocked bodies of water with a high concentration of salt. Evaporation is the only way water exits from saline lakes. Saline lakes like the Caspian and Dead Seas only contain about 8% of Earth's water. Soil moisture 0.5%. Next, the soil is the uppermost layer that supports plant growth and agriculture. Soil moisture has only 5% of the global water distribution. Soils are about half minerals, half open space, all within the top few centimeters of the surface. It's often mixed with organic material. Soil textures describes particle size. For soil, it consists of sand, silt, and clay. Sand is the largest particle size. Silt is just sand but smaller. Finally, clay has even smaller particles than silt. Streams, wetland, and swamps of 0.1%. Almost insignificant streams, wetlands, and swamps hold only 1%. Finally, only 1% of water is in the form of vapor within atmosphere or in living plants and animals. For streams, everything upstreams and downstream within a watershed. Well-connected networks of tributaries catch precipitation in a watershed or catchment basin. They zigzag all the way to a main body of water like a river or lakes. Wetlands are depressions on the land surface, usually characteristic of vegetation. These types of habitats lay the foundation for biological diversity and resilient ecosystem. Sources of fresh water. Surface water. Surface water is water located on the top of Earth's surface and may also be referred to as blue water. Surface water is any body of water above ground, including streams, rivers, lakes, wetlands, reservoirs, and creeks. Surface water participates in the hydrologic cycle or water cycle, which involves movement of water to and from the Earth's surface. Surface comes mostly from rain. Rain flows from land into streams and rivers sa mga malalamig na lugar o bansa. Ito ay nagbumula ng snow. Great quantities of snow accumulate from highland and mountains during winter. In spring, the snow melts and runs off into surface water. Only 2.53% of global water is fresh water. Evaporation and seepage of water into the ground is what causes water bodies to lose water. Precipitation and water runoff feed bodies of surface water, while evaporation leads to water loss. Water that seeps deep into the earth is called groundwater. Since surface water is more easily accessible than groundwater, it is relied on for many human uses. It is an important source of drinking water and is used for the irrigation of farmland. In 2015. Almost 50% of all water used in the United States came from surface water. Wetlands with surface water are also important habitats for aquatic plants and wildlife. Under river flow. The total volume of water transported downstream from source to end of a river is a combination of the free water flow and the contribution flowing through rocks and sediments that underlay the river and its floodplain called the hyporheic zone. For many rivers in large valleys, this unseen component of flow may greatly exceed the visible flow. The hyporheic zone often forms a dynamic interface between surface water and groundwater from aquifers. Exchanges flow between rivers and aquifers that may be fully changed or depleted. This is especially significant in karst areas where potholes and underground rivers are common. The hyporheic zone is a region beneath and alongside the stream where there is mixing of shallow groundwater and surface water. Groundwater. Groundwater is the water found underground in the cracks and spaces in soil, sand and rock. It is stored in and moves slowly through geologic formation of soil, sand and rocks called aquifers. Aquifers are typically made up of gravel, sandstones, or fractured rock, like limestone. Water can move through these materials because they have large connected spaces that make them permeable. The speed of which groundwater flows depends on the size of the spaces in the soil or rock and How will the space are corrected? 0.76% of the world's water is groundwater. It is found beneath the Earth's surface. Ito ay ang tubig na sinisipsip ang lupa at naiipon sa underground layer na tinatawag natin sa water table. Groundwater is a safe source of drinking water. Ito ay itinuturing na isa sa pinakamalinis na pinagkukunan ng tubig na mayroong dissolved mineral na galing sa lupa na kinakailangan ng ating katawan. Springs are opening of groundwater directly from the earth surfaces. Desalination is an artificial process by which saline water, or generally seawater, is converted to fresh water. Desalination is the process by which the dissolved minerals salt in water are removed. Sa kasulukuyan, this is process applied to seawater ay isa sa mga ginagamit upang makakuha ng fresh water for human consumption o mga layuning pang-agrikultura. As population increase and sources of high quality fresh drinking water decrease, using desalination process to provide fresh water has increased in many places when other sources and treatment procedures are uneconomical or not environmentally water pollution responsible. So, water pollution or aquatic pollution is the contamination of water bodies, usually as a result of human activities, so that it negatively affects its uses. Water pollution is caused due to both natural and human-made factors. Water pollution occurs when harmful substances, often chemicals or microorganisms, contaminate our streams, river, lake, ocean, aquifer, or the body of water, degrading water quality and rendering it toxic to human or the environment. So that's it, and the next reporter will be continue to discuss about the water pollution. Thank you for listening, and God bless.